Hmm. I'm continuing me series on films which some that some would say they were okay by Christian standards, while others would argue that they weren't. It's I'm just showing, but giving both sides of the argument really, and like the previous film I included in this series, Jaws. This film was also directed by Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg was interviewed by a Brazilian magazine, and he was asked about the effects of violence in films, and he says he made this comment: Watching violence in movies or on TV programs stimulates the spectators to imitate what they see, much more than if seen live or on TV news. In movies, violence is filmed with perfect illumination, spectacular scenery, and slow motion, making it romantic. However, in the news, the public has a much better perception of how horrible violence can be, and it is used with objectives that do not exist in the movies. And that was his opinion. And he also added that he hadn't permitted his young son to see a number of his films that he directed, including Jaws and the Indiana Jones series, because of the degree of violence in them. And this is the first film in the Indiana Jones series. It's called Raiders of the Lost Ark, and throughout the history, the BBFC, or British Board of Film Classification, is the classification. I think they used to be called British Board of Film Censors, but the name stands for they're changing the name to British Board of Film Classification now, because they don't cut films as much as what they used to. But very often when they've given lower ratings to films, there are complaints from parents about it, who feel that they've been misled by the lower rating given to the film, which has not given them enough idea of the contents of it, and they feel that the children have been upset or disturbed by watching these films, and they didn't expect these films to contain the type of material that they did, because of the lower rating given to them. And a couple of examples of such films are Watership Down and Jaws. Watership Down was released in 1978, and it's always had a U certificate. U meaning the U standing for Universal, but it's because of always giving it a U certificate that they've had the scores of a series of a lot of complaints from parents about it, because the parents felt that a U certificate given to a film such as that, which is a bit scary, which features rabbits attacking each other and is a bit bloody. They feel that the U certificate was misleading, and the other in the case of Jaws, the parents felt it had been released on video with a PG, or Parental Guidance certificate, and the parents were surprised, but that it a film like such as that would be released with a PG, because PG films can be rented out or sold to children of any age. It's just that the parents are cautioned, because it stands for parental guidance. The parents are cautioned as to its content, and it is a bit of a gory film. Jaws is. I actually went to college with somebody who mistakenly thought it was an X film. It never has been an X film. X films in the 70s weren't allowed to be publicly shown to people under 18. And Jaws was released in 1975. If Jaws had been an X, you wouldn't have been allowed to be admitted to it if you were under 18. But that wasn't the case. It was given an A certificate. A stands for adult, but even though A films contained adult material, you could still be admitted to them at any age, and but it was a bit of Jaws was a bit of a controversial film. Not so much because of its content, but because of the rating given to it. That it was always contentious as to whether it was suitable for children or not. But I went to see Watership Down with my parents when I was a child, and they didn't. I don't think there was anything in it. They didn't feel it was particularly objectionable. And I also went to see the first a double bill, the first two Jaws films with them. Well, they didn't think they weren't particularly offended by the first two Jaws films either. But this one I went to see with them, and I think they've always considered it to be not very nice. This film, it's they always considered it to be way over the top as far as violence was concerned, and it's as you can see, it's a PG. It says PG Parental Guidance contains moderate violence and mild language, and it's never had. It's never the rating of it has never been raised up from a PG. It's never been given a rating higher than that. And there is one scene in it in particular that is particularly likely to offend. It's where a man is shown to be hacked to death by the propellers of an aeroplane. He's involved in a fight with another man, and a woman is driving an aeroplane, and she drives past, and she seems to hack to death the guy who's fighting the man who's defending. And the reason why this is blatantly obvious from the fact that there's all blood spattering all over the aeroplane, and obviously the reason why blood is spattering all over the aeroplane is because a man is being hacked to death by its propellers. And when you come to think of it, that's a bit strong, isn't it? But there is an argument, even despite it containing this scene, there is an argument in favour of it that compared with what was being passed in the higher ratings in the 80s. Raiders of the Lost Ark was very tame. There's the scene where the man is hacked to death by the propellers of the airplane is very brief. In fact, you'd hardly notice it if you watched it. Really, it's like a sort of something you'd hardly. It's something that's shown so very briefly that you'd hardly even notice it. They're saying, I don't know if anyone's heard the term backward masking or subliminal messages. They're saying certain types of pop music, there's subliminal messages in it which you can't actually hear them when you're listening to it. If you listen to it, you can only detect these messages if you play it backwards. You don't actually notice that these messages are there. And this brief scene that's featured in Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's sort of something you'd hardly notice. You'd have to be really concentrating on the film to actually notice it. It's you know what I mean? In films such as Nightmare on Elm Street, the violence is very is just blatantly shown. You can't mistake it because it's there, and you can see it. You certainly notice it if you watched it. You know what I mean? You can see a girl's stomach being gashed open and similar, and but with this Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think the most offending scene in it, you would hardly notice it if you watched it, but it is there all the same. There is a man being hacked to death by the propellers of an aeroplane. Definitely, it is. If you watch it, you can. But it's as regards the question of whether it's a suitable film for Christians or not, it's there isn't a definite there isn't a definite yes or no to that question, because it's like I said, it's not a blatantly objectionable film. It's most films with a PG rating are just borderline cases. That's all they are. It's just, yeah. At the end of the day, you either watch them or you don't. You don't. But it's if you like a bit of an action adventure, it's perfect. It's quite a good film. You know, it's the first in this series of Indiana Jones films. But it's not what I'd call a perfect film by any stretch of the imagination. But as regards the question of whether it's suitable fare for Christians or not, there just isn't really a definite yes or no to that question. There can't be really. Anyway, I'll be back. I'll be back soon with more with more discussions and with more reviews and discussions. Bye.